When you look at what the Browns need as far as linemen, edge rushers, tackles, I would expect there's going to be a pretty significant shuffle and change just because they're asking these guys to do things very differently than they were asked to do in the previous defensive scheme.
Well, the guy who really intrigues me moving forward is Taven Bryan. Taven Bryan is a guy who fits this scheme very well. He's not a three technique who's going to anchor in there, but he's a guy who can move outside, play some 5, play some 9. He did a little bit this year. He's a guy who can play a wide 3 and jump in that gap. He's a gap penetrator that you and I have talked about for months. So I'm interested to see he can make a really, really big jump in terms of production just because of the scheme he's going to be in. He's going to be, I would assume he's going to be next to Myles Garrett if they don't trade for somebody. But that's where he's going to find success, especially if they can get somebody who has a kind of a history of rushing the passer and having success. Then Taven Bryan should get some one-on-one matchups away from those two. So I look for Taven Bryan to be pretty productive, or at least have a chance to be productive in this new scheme.
Yeah, and again, it's Jim Schwartz likes to have a lot more rotation. He likes to play 6, 7 guys, 7, 8 guys, really. So I would expect the Browns to try to do that as well. That's what you expect from that defensive system.
Well, and the Browns have really struggled. Obviously, we've talked about stopping the run, and Jim Schwartz looks at it a little bit differently. He doesn't necessarily always want those guys to anchor in, but you're right. He wants guys who play with high motors, jumping gaps. The guys they have now fit his scheme a little bit better in terms of being one gap penetrators and not so much 2 gap guys. But I will say this: regardless of scheme, those guys have to be heavier. They have to take on double teams well, because at some point in time, regardless of what they're seeing offensively, a team is going to line up in 21 personnel or 12 personnel and 13 personnel, and they're going to run the ball right at the Browns. And for Schwartz to be successful, for all defense coordinators to be successful, they got to get in that 3rd and medium to 3rd and long. And if you're not successful on first and second down, you can't get to those situations. So again, the Browns have to be better just on that base, stopping the double teams, stopping those block backs, stopping the gap penetration, stopping the inside zone doubles. I look for a big change this year with those guys.